Hi everyone, TardisGuy123 here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Meglos. Now, I'm going to be honest, Meglos is a story which I haven't really heard much either good or bad about, really. I haven't really heard many other people's thoughts on this story, and while I probably have at one point or another, I've completely forgotten about them, really. So, ultimately, I'm going into this one with kind of like no precognition, not precognition, that's something totally different, I've forgotten the word for it. Preconceptions, that's it. I'm going into this one with no preconceptions of what other people think or anything like that. That was the way I went into watching this story, and that's the same way I'm going into reviewing this story also. So this will be totally unbiased. Well, not unbiased, it's a review, of course it's going to be slightly biased, but you know, it's not going to be influenced by anything I've heard, really. And I kind of get the impression that it's a negative outlook on this story, but who knows, maybe I'm completely wrong about that. But anyway, this review is about my opinion, whether I think you should buy it or not, and that's all pretty much. So, taking a look at what we have here, you've got standard stuff at the front there. You have Jacqueline Hill, who of course played Barbara with the first Doctor, one of his first companions from An Unearthly Child of Matilda Chase. She returns here, not as Barbara though, but as a character called Lexa. You have the spine there with Meglos and whatnot. On the back here you have standard stuff, really. Quite a few special features, not too many, but you know, standard amount for a one-disc story, really. A lot more than the Web of Fear had. And look here, you got Meglos again, and then you also have Meglos there, who was also on the cover, and of course is a cacti version of the Doctor, pretty much. That's ultimately what this story is, remembered for the Cactus Doctor. There's the back there, with the chapter points, and the images up there. And finally, in the middle here, we have standard stuff with the people involved in the commentary, and also the well, there you go, special features, a better view of them. So ultimately this is about a talking cactus which takes the form of the Doctor, and you know, despite that rather ridiculous premise, I like it. I do think this is a rather good story. It's from season 18, so it has the new 80s title sequence, and you know, it has all this 80s stuff going on. It's got his season 18 uniform, which looks a lot more solemn than his previous costumes for the Fourth Doctor, but you know, it still works. And I think this story is probably the most fun of season 18, really. It's the one where you get to have the most fun, pretty much. It sort of has callbacks to the older, the sillier style of season 17, but still very much sits in with season 18's style at the same time. It's got the theme of entropy going on there, and it's also got quite a few other interesting concepts as well. You have the Dodecahedron, which you see is being held by the Meglos there, and that's quite an interesting idea, where it's this ultimate power source which can be used to destroy planets, and is simply being used to control a city. And at the same time you sort of like have this whole religious aspect going on there as well, where you have religion versus science in this city on Tigella, where you have Lexa, who is the leader of sort of like the religious people on this planet, is very much not allowing the scientists or anyone other than her selected members of the religion to sort of like look upon the Dodecahedron itself as sort of like treating it as this sacred artifact from the heavens, whereas the group of scientists, who I can't remember the name of, basically just want to get a look at it so they can find out more about it, learn about it, you know, like scientists would, so they can very much use it to help benefit all and help benefit the city, because they are rather having some problems with the power output from it, and ultimately the Doctor gets called in to help this, but it's not the Doctor who turns up, it is Meglos instead, who is intent on stealing it so he can use it to destroy planets pretty much. And obviously Meglos is not alone. With him he has this motley crew of pirates. You have their leader there, whose name I have forgotten, but I do remember his second in command, Brotteldak. And Brotteldak is quite an entertaining character, and he very much has a double act with his first in command, who is on the cover there, and he's sort of like an idiot really, pretty much. He is a bit inconsistent at the start, I will say, sort of like during the start, in part 1, he is quite an inconsistent character. You're not sure whether they want to go with this fearsome brute or this bumbling fool, but not long after that you eventually discover, yeah, he is a bit of a bumbling fool really. He has some very funny lines, and it's just wonderfully played by the actor really, and it's quite an adorable character really, and you sort of like feel quite sorry for him that he's ended up with all these bad guys, but he's quite a good character really. A bit over the top, a bit out of this world, because it's set in space of course, and is he a believable character? Not necessarily, but is he an entertaining character? Definitely. And ultimately that's sort of like how this feels more like a season 17 story in some ways than a season 18 story, and a lot of that does come down to Brotteldak, along with a bit of the other humour that's going on here as well. But yeah, now moving on to some negatives, because it's not a masterpiece by any means. It does have its flaws, especially in the direction. I mean, you sort of like do have this fight scene breaking out in the doorway to the city on Tigella, and it's really pitifully done, to be honest. It's not the best. Admittedly, it's not the worst I've seen. I mean, it's better than the action sequences we get in Warriors from the Deep, but nevertheless, it is rather poor. And it's interesting how I've gone from reviewing the Web of Fear last week to Meglos this week and talk about how great the direction was in that, and the story really could have used a bit of Douglas Camfield to help it really, especially in those action scenes. And then also later in the same location as well, maybe that location is just cursed, just like the doorway to the city. Lexa's death is rather poorly done. I mean, just 1 minute she's alive, boom, she's suddenly dead, and then the Doctor's like, oh well, we can't mourn for her, we've got to go, and that's it pretty much. And I feel like after all that, after all those characters done, there should have been a bit more going on there. And speaking of Lexa, she is a very good character, very well played by Jacqueline Hill, of course, and she is a wonderful, wonderful actress who sadly passed before her time. But here, her last role in Doctor Who is a very interesting one, very different from Barbara, and it comes into conflict with the Doctor quite a lot, but ultimately does get redeemed at the end when she saves Romana's life. So that's rather nice. K9 is in this story as well, how could we forget about him, and he is quite interesting in this. Sadly he does have sort of like that whole thing about power running out and whatnot, and it's amazing how many writers in the 80s didn't really, not just in the 80s, in the 70s as well, just didn't embrace K9 at all and just decided to stick him in the TARDIS really. It's lucky that at Big Finish, and they obviously had, Big Finish obviously have less restrictions when it comes to K9, but also just writing better in general really. They treat him as a character. Sadly here he's not treated as much of a character, he is very much on the sidelines really. He's sort of like treated as something that's weighing them down, and it's a shame really, because K9 does have the potential to be good, but very few writers on TV seem to realise that well, and ultimately here he is not well realised really. He sort of like runs out of power rather quickly and whatnot, and it's a shame really. He is very much a hindrance during this story, and it's easy to forget he's there really, which is, yeah, it's a shame. But the Doctor and Romana do have some good lines in this as well, especially during the first and start of the second episode where they're trapped in the TARDIS together. They do have a wonderful chemistry, and Tom Baker and Lana Ward obviously had at this point started their relationship and whatnot, and it was quite a rocky relationship. But here, I think that it looks like it was going quite well, and that is sort of reflected in the characters as well. Obviously, they are actors, so they could just be pulling it off very well. But they do have a wonderful rapport in this story, I feel, and get along very well while they are together. They get split up during the second half of this story, and Romana has an interesting sequence where she's with these space pirates, and she's like leading them around, and you very much get to see how she is pretty much a female version of the Doctor. The Fourth Doctor especially, she takes a bit more responsibility, obviously, but she has that wonderful line where she's going on about this is anti-clockwise, this planet rotates on anti-clockwise on its axis or whatever it was, and she's sort of like confusing the pirates, and you can tell it's utter nonsense, but it's working on them because they're not the brightest bulbs, and it's sort of like something that you could easily imagine a Doctor doing. And she's not a companion, she's sort of like screaming. She is obviously scared. At the same time, you do sort of like get that sequence where the pirates are ganging up on her, and you can see that she is obviously scared. But at the same time, she does manage to use her wits to outsmart them and sort of like lead them around in a song and dance until she finally is able to escape their clutches. And I think that's what makes Romana, especially Romana 2, such a entertaining character to watch, because she is very much a female version of the Doctor. And then we come to Tom Baker himself as the Doctor and as Meglos as well. He has that dual performance where he is very much doing a very good job of it, I feel. You can instantly tell when it's Meglos and when it's the Doctor, really. Not just because of the way it's written, it's sort of like the plot strat and the characters they're with, but also just in subtle bits of the performance as well. Tom Baker just has this way of doing this Meglos so well. Sometimes it does feel a bit hammed up, like he's having too much fun playing the villain, and it's sort of like doing a bit of a naff job of it at times, but other times I feel that he does a very good job of that character and plays it quite interestingly as well, and like just has this way where he just has this look in his eye which makes you think, that is very different. I believe there's another story where, the android invasion as well. He sort of like is doing the same thing as he was there. If you've seen that one where when he's playing the duplicate, he very subtly makes the character very different as well. And I think that is very well done by Tom Baker, really. And he just has that look in his eye where you can instantly tell, that's a different character, that's not Doctor. And the performance is very good. And I think one more thing that I do think is very good about this story is visuals, so like the special effects that go on here. Obviously I said the direction of the fight scenes wasn't very good, but the way that you have the screens of Sulphur Fury and whatnot, you can sort of like see the CSO and everything there in the model shots, but nevertheless it just looks so impressive, especially for this time. It really is visually very impressive, especially those scenes, and I feel that they do work very well. And it doesn't sort of have that underworld feel where they literally just CSO'd the caves onto the background there. It is very much a case of trying to find out what's what really in this, and I think that's the way it is really, and it does help to create this very believable environment for the end there. And I think also it's well directed as well. They have the characters in the right positions for it all, and ultimately that makes all those sequences very, very effective. With the screens of Sulphur Fury, which you can actually see on the planet, on the background there as well. They are very effective, those sequences are. So overall, Meglos is a story which doesn't seem to get discussed that often. It doesn't pop up that much in chat or anything like that. When you're sort of like talking to other Doctor Who fans, you don't really hear them go, "Oh, Meglos, I watched that last night, I think it's a pretty good story." I think Meglos deserves more recognition because it is a very good story, I will say. Not necessarily a great story, but definitely a very good story, and it's an 8 out of 10 from me. And so well done to Meglos, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Big Finish later does in this whole Season 18 era, because obviously they haven't given us details. They've been out for a while now, but details of their sixth series of the Fourth Doctor Adventures, 9 releases with the Doctor, Romana and K9 set during this period. I think some are set in between the Leisure Hive and Meglos, and some are set in between Meglos and Full Circle, seems to be the plan. So Meglos is right at the centrepiece of that. So yeah, I think that'll be an interesting series there, especially in that style. Some of the stories do quite interest me. The Eternal Battle with Sontaran seems quite interesting. Obviously Jago and Lightfoot appearing in the first story as well. The finale, I admit, could be a little bit better, and Subterranea, I don't know, that one doesn't really interest me too much either, but maybe closer to the time when we get more details, these things will become more fascinating. And you know, ultimately it looks like it'll be another good series, because Series 5 so far is going very well. All 4 stories, I'll say, are either 8, 9 or 10 even. Hopefully it keeps up that momentum with the second half with, what's it called? The Waxworks story, which I can't remember the name of. The Trouble with Drax is the next one, and then you have like the 2-part finale with The Black Guardian by Nicholas Briggs. All those should hopefully hold up. But yeah, anyway, Meglos review now done. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time with the review of Torchwood Zone 10. But until then, bye everyone.
Arrival noted, gentlemen. Welcome.
What are you?
I am Meglos.
I think what we've got here is a good old-fashioned doppelganger.
What you're asking us to do is impossible.
I think you forget who I am.
Where's the doctor?
Betrayed us. Arrest the Time Lord. Stop him at all costs.
That's the problem with doppelgangers. You never know who's who.
I hope it was all worth it, Meglos. Stop that. Patience!
We are about to release a power many magnitudes greater than any intelligence has ever controlled.